The movie begins with a beautiful couple named Miles William and Kiara Williams. Kiara is a scholar of African spirituality, while Miles is a former MMA fighter. She spends some romantic time with her husband. Soon after, she sticks a note written with the word broken on a record player. Then she goes to wrap up the stuff, putting them into boxes. Through a background voiceover, she reveals that when she studies in Benin, she realized the Vodun teachings her grandmother gave her connect her to generations of strength, beauty, and love. We see that Kiara isn't happy inside and blames herself for something that occurred in the past. After dumping the garbage into the dumpster outside, she receives several messages from Miles on her phone, but she doesn't reply to his messages, seemingly having an issue with her husband Miles. She writes a letter to Miles, saying that the chain that held them together is broken. She is broken and can't be fixed. The rituals about strength and protection don't work. Later, she fills the bathtub with water and lies in it, recalling her disturbing past. Not long after, she hears the record player being played and calls for Miles if it is he who is playing it, but no one replies from the other end. So she holds a flashlight and an object in her hand and quietly advances to the porch, only to find the record player playing on its own. She gingerly turns it off. Just then, the door opens and shuts automatically, leaving Kiara utterly frightened. She then approaches the door and opens it but finds no one outside. Kiara shuts the door and hears the record player playing again on its own. Soon after, someone knocks on the door, scaring her even more. However, she opens the door and finds Miles on the other side. Miles is furious with her for not replying to his text messages. Kiara tells him that the record player plays on its own and the lights were not working before his arrival. Miles finds the record player completely in silence and tells her that it may be her hangover due to drinking too much last night. Actually, Miles came to get his things and asked her to leave the house so the realtor could show it to the new owner. Miles and Kiara have decided to go their separate ways after losing something which was very dear to them in the past. Meanwhile, he also hears the record player playing on its own. He approaches it only to find a sticker with broken written on it. Miles picks up Kiara and puts her on the bed, putting her to sleep. Miles sees his family photo, recalling his MMA days. Afterward, he dozes off. Kiara is jolted awake from her nightmare. She sees a broken part of a toy helicopter on the floor and moves to pick it up but wakes up, meaning it was all happening in her dream. She gets up from the bed while Miles is still asleep nearby. However, he is soon suddenly awakened by Kiara, who calls him over to another room and shows him the mess spread across the room. They see that the stuff they packed last night is unpacked and littered around the room, and the TV is on. Having witnessed this, they are completely perplexed. However, they ignore it and start packing the things up again as the new owner is on his way. Kiara falls into an altercation with Miles over continuously ignoring her, but Miles blames her for being addicted to drinking instead.
You have no idea how hard it was for me to leave.
Now you feel guilty? It was crazy drunk Kiara. Crazy drunk Kiara. And try to communicate with you, but you don't listen. You never fucking...
Soon, the movers ring the doorbell and Miles goes to answer the door, but the door doesn't open as it seems to be jammed. The realtor and new mover keep waiting outside, but don't hear from the other side of the door. Miles goes to open the back door, but sadly the back door is also jammed. Then, he screams to draw the realtor's attention, but the surprising thing is that neither the realtor nor the new mover is able to see and hear him. Upon getting no response from the other side, the realtor leaves with the new mover, believing that the old owners are not at home. Miles smashes a chair onto the window, but the chair shatters itself, leaving the duo shocked. Kiara hears a strange buzzing sound inside the house and asks Miles if he can hear it. Miles rudely denies it. Soon after, Miles is attacked by a supernatural force that knocks him down and drags him toward a door. In another room, Kiara hears the same buzzing sound again and becomes terrified. She follows the sound to a dressing table covered with a cloth. Hesitantly, she removes the cloth, only to find a woman who looks exactly like her. Moments later, the mysterious woman grabs Kiara by the throat. Kiara tells Miles that there is a Vodun spirit in the house, but he refuses to believe her and tells her to stop talking nonsense. Nevertheless, Kiara insists she remembers a legend from Benin about a spirit that traps people inside their houses. She insists she isn't imagining things. To protect herself, Kiara draws a circle of salt around her and tries to communicate with her ancestors. During the process, a strange symbol appears on a page. She immediately calls Miles over to show it to him, but he can only see a blank page. Kiara explains that the symbol is called Oya, belonging to the African goddess of death and rebirth, and that the spirit is trying to communicate with them. Miles still doesn't believe her and leaves. Later, he blames her for destroying everything they had built together. The angry Kiara retorts that he always gave up whenever life got hard, calling him a coward. Suddenly, the buzzing sound returns. The TV turns on by itself, pillows burst open, and objects begin shaking and levitating. Kiara reads a letter that Miles had once written for her. In a flashback, before meeting Kiara, Miles was badly beaten in an MMA fight. Losing the round, he locked eyes with Kiara for the first time and instantly fell in love with her. Motivated by her presence, he launched a furious comeback and ultimately defeated his opponent.
Way to go, Miles Williams. That's a heck of a good fight.
Over time, Miles married Kiara and they moved into a new house together. Remembering their happier days, Kiara breaks down in tears. Miles searches for Kiara but finds himself trapped in a loop, returning to the same starting point repeatedly. He hears a child's laughter echoing through the house. Entering another room, he sees an evil version of himself punching a bag. The real Miles is stunned. Meanwhile, another supernatural entity lurks near Kiara in the bathroom. Before long, both evil Miles and evil Kiara begin violently attacking their real counterparts. Kiara regains consciousness and hears the ominous buzzing again. She notices a trail of footprints leading to a room. There, she opens a box and discovers an ancient book inside. Meanwhile, Miles hallucinates about his past and sees himself entering the house, calling out to Kiara. Following his past self, he witnesses a moment when Kiara was lying in bed due to a hangover. He scolded her for drinking too much and warned her that he couldn't keep living with her like that. Then he walked out, leaving her on her own. The present-day Miles watches this, filled with regret for abandoning Kiara when she needed him most. Back in the present, Kiara awakens and shows Miles the book she found. She tells him that it belonged to her grandmother and contains spells, though she can't fully understand them. She confesses that she once tried to summon her mother's spirit when she was 16, but she wasn't powerful enough to complete the ritual. When Miles asks if she ever tried conjuring another spirit, she says no. Kiara puts on a necklace and tells Miles they need millet flour, water, and some personal items for a ritual that will allow her to commune with her ancestors. As they begin the ritual, the candle suddenly goes out, and Kiara becomes possessed by a powerful spirit. She disappears into the mirror and finds herself in the afterworld, surrounded by the glowing presence of her ancestors. Kiara asks the entity if she is dead. The entity replies no, but she is in a sacred place and urges her to rejoin the broken chain, telling her that what she needs most is already beside her. In other words, Kiara must let go of the past and move forward with her husband Miles. When Miles takes care of her afterward, a drawer suddenly opens by itself. Inside, he finds a letter written by Kiara, revealing that she once planned to take her own life. Later, when Kiara wakes up and goes to the kitchen, Miles confronts her about it. She tearfully explains that she hates who she has become, and she isn't the same woman he had married, and that she had nothing left to live for. Afterward, they decide to perform another ritual using her grandmother's book of spells. Inside a protective salt circle, Kiara lights a candle and tries to remember the ritual dance she once saw in Benin, a dance that helped matriarchs connect with their ancestral spirits. As she closes her eyes, then this happens. The film shifts to a happier time when Kiara tells Miles she is pregnant. Overjoyed, Miles feels on top of the world. Months later, they have a son named Jeremiah, who dreams of becoming a pilot. For his birthday, Kiara asks him to come out of the pool, saying she has gifts for him. They give him a toy airplane, and Jeremiah happily flies it around the house. Kiara gently tells him to play outside instead. While she's distracted on the phone with her friend Sabrina, Jeremiah's plane gets stuck in a tree, and he climbs over the boundary wall to retrieve it. When Miles returns home with more gifts, he calls out for Jeremiah but receives no answer. Panic sets in as they search the house, only to find Jeremiah's lifeless body floating in the pool. Miles jumps in and pulls him out, trying desperately to revive him, but it's too late.
Can't wait.
The story returns to the present. Kiara tearfully admits that Jeremiah's death was her fault. She hadn't been watching over him, and that this tragedy tore their marriage apart. Miles forgives her, saying they must learn to forgive themselves and move past their pain. Suddenly, the buzzing sound starts again. Kiara looks toward the door and sees the spirit of Jeremiah entering the room. Miles is stunned. Jeremiah tells them that he has always been with them and that he only wanted to help them stay together, revealing that he was behind the supernatural events all along. Kiara apologizes to him for not keeping an eye on him when he was playing outside, but Jeremiah assures her it wasn't her fault. He hugs his parents one last time and returns peacefully to his world, where he can finally fly his airplane freely. In the end, Miles and Kiara reconcile and begin a new chapter together. Months later, Kiara is pregnant again, and Miles is very happy about it.